makes these invitations known to us in his Torah. We read, "These godly appointed meeting times of Yahowah are set apart invitations to be called out and to meet, to read and to recite, for the relationship and for your benefit, for you to be called out and welcomed, approaching with them in their appointed time. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month, for the purpose of understanding, at twilight, is Passover, according to and to approach Yahowah. The 15th day of this same month is the festival feast, the party, the celebration of unyeasted bread, to approach Yahowah. 7 days you shall eat bread without yeast. The first, foremost, and primary day exists as a set-apart and cleansing invitation to meet and to be called out. You should not engage in any of the work of the business of the heavenly messenger. Come near and be present with the adoptive mother who enlightens and elevates the maternal aspect of God's light unto Yahowah for 7 days. This was Korah, the book of Korah from the Torah, named after these very events from the 23rd chapter, beginning right around the 2nd or 3rd verse through the 8th. We now have our good friend William on the line. Was any part of that confusing, William, or did God do some reasonable writing on the sign that he was providing for our benefit?
It's extremely reasonable. None of it was confusing. None at all. How are you doing, Adam?
I'm doing great. Did you suspect there was any time along this way that God was providing this sign to us about what these days represent in arrears after the fact?
No.
No. God said that this was going to be a 7-day celebration. So do you think maybe that 7 is something we can learn from?
Absolutely.
Did he indicate that these appointed meeting times were for his benefit, that we were serving him when we attended these events?
No, he said it's for us.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Right.
Did he in any way associate Passover with matzah in this presentation? Did he bring them together, assimilate them?
Yes.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? And he says that for 7 days you should eat bread without yeast. Matzah is one of those days. But then he says that the first, foremost, and primary day. What was the first day? Wasn't it Passover?
Yes, it was.
So when he says the first, foremost, and primary day exists as a set-apart and cleansing invitation to meet and to be called out, that would be Passover, wouldn't it?
Yes.
And he says you should not do any of your ordinary work on this day.
Right.
Yeah, pretty clear. And then the 7 days where he's encouraging us not to consume the fungus of yeast in bread. But he gives us another plan, didn't he? He tell us, he's explained what to observe, what to celebrate, but didn't he also say that there's a way that we ought to celebrate this? Come near, be present with, karab, approach, appear before, the maternal aspect of his light. Who would that be?
Mm-hmm. The Ruach.
Yeah, Ruach, the set-apart spirit. Ruach is a feminine noun, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
The only aspect of Yahweh's nature that's referred to, in fact, every time, you're correct, every time the Ruach is used in the Torah, prophets, and Psalms, and a pronoun is ascribed to the Ruach, it's always
she.
You got it. Always she. Ruach is a feminine noun. Every time the Ruach's work is depicted, it's always doing the kinds of things that would be ascribed to mothers. She is our spiritual mother. And God says, come into our presence. Now, what do you think there may be a correlation then between coming into the presence of Yahowah's set-apart spirit and having the fungus of sin, yeast, removed from our nature?
Absolutely, there's correlation. I mean,
that's what God is saying, isn't it?
Yeah.
How does that happen, you suppose?
Matzah. The yeast is removed.
Yes. And is it not Yahowah's set-apart spirit that is responsible for enveloping us in a garment of light?
Yes.
And where there is light, can there be any darkness?
No, there cannot.
Now, where there is light, there is no shadow. There is no darkness. We've been talking about eclipses here. Where there is light, darkness is eliminated. Darkness is what's equated with sin throughout the Torah, prophets, and Psalms. Light is what is associated with Yahowah. So when we're enveloped in Yahowah's set-apart spirit, and she is a pure manifestation of Yahowah's light, then we are without darkness, aren't we?
That's right. We're wrapped in the garment of light that she provides.
Right. And so, enveloped in Yahowah's light through the set-apart spirit, we would therefore appear perfect in God's eyes, wouldn't we?
Absolutely.
So there's a direct correlation here between the removal of imperfections, us becoming perfect, and the means of that perfection, which is being enveloped in Yahowah's light. And God even provides a little metaphor for us here that I think is helpful. Yahowah speaks to us as children who are eager to learn. And so the term that he uses for the feminine manifestation of his light happens to be the feminine version of the Hebrew word for fire. So when Yahowah appeared on Mount Horeb and was reciting his Torah teaching, he was presented as an ish, as fire. That was his light. That was the best way to describe the nature of Yahowah's light in our world. He appeared as fire. Does it make Yahowah fire? No. It's just that is the best metaphor to depict it. Now on Matzah, we're asked to come into the feminine manifestation of that fire. So Yahowah, who represents himself as being light and therefore uses the metaphor of fire, the feminine manifestation of Yahowah's light would in fact be the set-apart spirit. But what he's doing here is, because I understand that it's hard for my children to envision a garment of light and the set-apart spirit as light and what energy represents, and this whole concept where there is light, there is no darkness. So in the presence of light, you now appear perfect. He uses the Hebrew word for fire in the feminine. Now, we can envision camping out with God and approaching Him and walking up to a campfire during these festival feasts, can't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I can.
Yeah, and that's basically what he said here. Come and be present and come near. The feminine manifestation of my life. It is exactly the concept that is proclaimed when many of us as young campers, not knowing what it meant, approached the campfire and sang Kumbaya. Kumbaya. You know what Kumbaya means, William?
Stand with Yah.
It sure does. And we can stand with Yah because we are made to be like light as He is, and we are perfected with His light through His set-apart spirit. We can stand with Him when we come into the presence of His Spirit.
Is there anything that says in Hebrew to kneel down with Yah?
Oh no, never once. As a matter of fact, the people that Yahowah is embracing as His children, that fall down in His presence, the first thing He'll say is, stand up. As a matter of fact, William, I think you know this, there are two individuals that are depicted in Yahowah's name. If you read His name, there's two letters that are repeated. Those two letters are depicted. They actually mean look up, stand up, and pay attention. And it's the hey in Hebrew, yeah. And are the two people that are part of Yahweh's name, are they down on their knees or are they standing up?
They're standing up.
Yeah. There's only one depiction of people kneeling down before God. And it's interesting. The witnesses are standing and the defendants are kneeling down. God says that the religious and political leaders of earth are going to be judged. And when they're judged, they will be on their knees. And we as witnesses will be standing around. So if you're on your knees before God, you're in trouble. You're being judged.
Wow.
You don't want that to happen. You want to stand with him. So your point is completely valid.
I actually have a quick question. My wife and I were discussing earlier. Can you elaborate a little bit on when we read in Korah when it states that do not perform the work of the heavenly messenger?
Yeah. The Hebrew word there are several Hebrew words for work. And ma'ash is one of the most prevalent of them. And ma'aseh, therefore, would be the work of Yahweh. There are a number of people that bear the name Ma'aseh, and it is a compound of Ma'as and Yahweh's name. So that's a Hebrew word for work. And there are others as well. Malak is the Hebrew word for a spiritual messenger. So the Malak are spiritual messengers. Their function is to do whatever Yahweh wants done. The set-apart spirit is a spiritual messenger of Yahweh, although she is comprised of Yahweh, a diminished manifestation of Yahweh set apart from him. Yosha is a messenger of Yah, conveying Yahweh's words. Corporeal, so therefore twice set apart from him, and then diminished to matter from energy. So when Yahweh is using the term malakah, which is the feminine of malak, spiritual messenger, he's speaking of the work of his set-apart spirit. We'll return in a moment. Welcome back to Shattering Myths. When Yahweh says the seventh day is set apart, it's a mikra, an invitation to be called out and meet for reading, reciting, and welcoming. And you should not do any of the work, that's one of the three Hebrew words for work, avodah, labor, of heaven's messenger. And the word is malakah. So William has asked, what can we make of malakah? Now, while I'm not a fan ever of using one lexicon, when you use one lexicon, it's like the guy with one watch, and certainly he knows what time it is. And if you have three watches and you look at all three and they're all different, then you're a little, boy, I really need to think here as to what time it probably is. But if you go to Strong's and you look up the word malakah, which you will read is from the same as their word designated as 4397. Malakah. From the same, not just the root, same word. Although it is the feminine version. When you see an after a Hebrew word, it typically changes the word from masculine to feminine. Not in 100% of cases, but it does in this case. At least that's what we're told. This is the feminine noun. If you look then at malak, what you'll find is it means to dispatch as a deputy. It's to dispatch a representative, to set apart and send a representative. It is the Hebrew word for messenger, representative. It's a spiritual messenger that the word is used to describe. It is changed to angel in virtually every English translation, which is a transliteration of the Greek word, as if God communicated to us in Greek rather than Hebrew. And so malakah is simply the feminine of malak, meaning a spiritual messenger. So when it says don't do any of the abadah, the work of, and then it's followed by malakah, it would be the feminine spiritual messenger. That's our spiritual mother. That's what God's talking about. So we come into her presence, but we're asked not to do her work. Well, her work is to envelop us in this garment of light that makes us look perfect in God's eyes. That's God's gift to us. We can't do it ourselves. Does that help a bit, William?
Yeah, it helps a whole lot. I mean, I really can't fathom how a human could do her work. I don't see how anyone could even think that they can.
No, of course not. But there are lots of Christians, like for a long time on this radio program, and it may even be still occurring. I walk away during the SRN news segment, so I don't hear it anymore. But there have been lots of promotions of Franklin Graham claiming that the cross of Franklin Graham has saved individuals. So there's the inference here that the preaching of Franklin Graham provided salvation, which is perfection in God's eyes. So lots of people claim to do that. Roman Catholic Church claims to do it when they baptize a child, incorporating them into the church. They're lying. God says, don't do that. You know, salvation is His business, and it's afforded to His children. And He does it in His way. He says, you know, we aren't to pretend to be saviors. You know, government. And I'll save you from poverty. I'll save you from invasion. I'll save you from bad guys. I'll save you from terrorists. I'll save you from this, that, and the other thing. They're not reliable. And God says, I don't want you to look at human institutions as your savior. They aren't saving you. So God is saying that we ought not to do the work of salvation. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't share what He has to say about salvation. You know, when you and I study, or you and I even share Yahowah's testimony as we're doing here, all we're doing is reporting what God is offering to do. We're not providing salvation. Well, when people occasionally write me and say, you know, I want to thank you for you know, saving our family or doing this sort of thing, then I just go, whoa, wait a minute. No. I mean, all I've done is share what Yahowah shared with us. You know, that's like reporting on a situation whereby you know, a lifeboat came up to a family that was drowning in the water, and they climbed aboard, and I'm standing on the shore saying a lifeboat appeared, and the drowning family was able to climb into this ark of salvation, and the wind blew them ashore. Just simply reporting on what God is doing. So by reporting, we're not engaged in the doing. We're sharing what Yahowah is doing. Yahowah's next testimony comes to us beginning with the 7 Hebrew letters, the 4 letters that are in His name plus I am, which is written using the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, the Aleph, which speaks of capability and leadership, Nun, and then Yod, which is Yahowah's hand, followed by the 4 letters that comprise Yahowah's name. His arm reaching out, down and out to us with an open hand, 2 people standing, reaching up to Him, looking up to Him, with a tent peg between them, which is symbolizes increasing, to multiply, to make secure, and to enlarge a home. So I am Yahowah. The blood, speaking of the blood of the Passover lamb, will exist for you as a sign. on the homes where you, by way of relationship, are at the time. So when I see the blood, I will choose to pass over you on that account. And the plague leading to death and destruction shall not exist among you when I strike the realm of the crucible of Egypt, the place of great religious and political oppression. This day will exist on your behalf as a memorial and a reminder. And you should choose to genuinely and completely celebrate with him a festival feast to approach Yahowah throughout all of your lives and generations, continuously and genuinely celebrating the festival feast with him as an engraved prescription for living forever. We still have our friend William here. So, William, this also seems pretty straightforward to me, but how long did God say that Passover was going to remain important in our lives?
Forever.
Yeah, olam means eternally, doesn't it? That's all it means, forever. And he called his instructions on Passover a chukah. Chukah means to inscribe, to cut into stone, to engrave, a prescription that cuts us into a relationship. This would be the covenant. So God's saying that not only is it last forever, but consider this chiseled in stone, forever reliable. Is it for Jews, or does it say here this is for every generation, no matter where you live?
Every generation.
Yeah. Did he say this should be a religious ritual which you need to go through to please God, and that, you know, that you're going to have to make some sacrifice and it's going to be a somber occasion? Or did he use a different word entirely to describe the nature of this event?
He used a different word.
The word was chag. You know what chag means
Party.
in Hebrew? Yeah, party.
Celebrate. Mm-hmm.
Right. A chag is a festival feast. It is a party. It's a celebration. God's invited humankind to attend a party, and less than 1 in a million attends. Can you imagine? The creator God of the universe is throwing a party for us, and less than 1 in a million per people on the planet attend. What on earth is wrong with us? Hey, William, you work for a living. If your boss, you work on, repair, and maintain elevators, which is a perfect job when you think about what we're talking about here. And if your boss throws a party and invites you to attend, do you say, do you typically ignore him?
No.
Do you typically reject the invitation?
No.
And there's lots of jobs, right?
Oh, there's a whole lot.
Yeah, you could work for somebody else if you didn't like your present job, correct?
That's right.
How many universes are there?
One.
How many gods are there?
One.
And so the creator of the universe has invited us to a party, and 1 in a million shows up. Doesn't that strike you as odd?
Well, it's definitely odd, but when you study his Torah, prophets, and Psalms, I mean, it's no surprise to those who study.
Yeah.
So
because he said that would be the case. Yeah, in fact, on the second statement that he etched in stone on the tablets, which is speaking of chiseled in stone on the second of them, he said that there would be thousands who would receive his mercy, and they would do so by carefully considering and closely examining the terms and conditions of his covenant. And thousands amongst the billions who have come this way, that's 1 in a million, isn't it?
That is correct. Yeah. We celebrated Pesach with the Wolf family and a lady named Pam and Larry and my family, the Diaz family. We had a great time, okay?
Yeah.
But when I got there, I'd never met, Larry was the only person I knew, all right? And so when we got there, the lady who opened her home up, Mr. and Mrs. Wolf, they opened up their home to us, and she said to me, there's not going to be a lot of homes filled tonight celebrating Pesach. And I was like, wow, it just hit me. It hit me because she's right. And I got to tell you, if you're listening to the show, what I experienced in that home with my brothers and sisters, and I could truly say that and mean it, is exactly that. It was family. We've never seen each other before, and you'd have thought that we've known each other for 20 years. The Cristiano family was there as well, and these people were so genuine. I love them, and we had such a blast. It was awesome. It really was. So
because you were not just celebrating the fact that you were all family, your wife, your daughters, and you've sent me a picture of your family and your wife and your daughters, and you have a handsome family. You know, every reason to love and enjoy your family. But the fact is, now you have an extended family, and even your daughters are part of that extended family.
That's right.
And so you're celebrating what it's like to be part of the family of Yahowah. Is there anything more marvelous than his covenant?
There's nothing better than that, Yada. I'll tell you what, the hospitality, everything was driven for our love for Yah, and there's nothing like it, nothing in this world. If you're attending a church or anything like that, I promise you, what I experienced, you'll never get in a church. Never.
Never. And you've been in them.
That's right.
As a matter of fact, you, long before we came to know each other, and we haven't met personally, we've communicated many times over the telephone and on radio shows and through emails, but long before we even made contact, you were engaged in a comprehensive search to find out who God is and what he was offering. Isn't that true?
That's true.
And somewhere along the way, you tried Christianity as an answer, didn't you?
Yes.
And what'd you find?
I found that it was all lies. Every bit of it was a lie. I mean, they're calling upon pagan deities, worshiping the sun in essence. I mean, a lot of them don't even know that they're doing these things, but I was actually kicked out of it because I started to ask questions. And
if you ask a pastor about Easter and the history of Easter, they're either going to lie to you or try to get you out of their sight so that you don't cause those who have believed their lies to walk away. Because the moment you understand what Easter is, you realize that on the single most important date of Christendom, it's nothing but embracing a pagan lie.
That's right. I even sat down with a gentleman. I won't mention any names or anything like that, but pretty high up in the Christian world. We sat down for lunch, and I asked him some pretty simple questions. He looked right at me while having lunch and said, I don't know the answer to your questions, William, but in the meantime, you need to get your family into a good Christian church somewhere, and until you find your answers, because it's not fair to your family. And I'm so thankful I didn't take that advice.
Oh, my. Yeah, so what he's doing is you're asking him, same thing I did with Jerry Falwell, where I asked him, why are you talking about a Jesus Christ when God's name is Yahowah and in diminished manifestation is Yahushua? Why are you celebrating as you do Christmas and Easter when they're both Babylonian, they're both purely pagan, and Yahowah encouraged us forever to celebrate Passover and matzah? Oh, why are you talking about man killing God? Why are you talking about a bodily resurrection? Why are you telling people to come and gather on a Sunday as opposed to the Shabbat? Why are you talking about a New Testament when God said the covenant hasn't been renewed? Those are probably similar to some of the questions you asked the pastor, right?
That's correct.
Jerry Falwell was a bit more honest, at least with me, but not with his congregation. He told me, everything you say is either wrong with Christianity is in fact wrong. Everything you say is true. But if I were to say it, the pews in my church would be empty. The envelopes that arrive with checks to support my university would no longer come. And if you were to say those things, they will label you a kook. Not very different, probably, than the answer you were given.
That's correct. And you know what? If I'm going to be labeled a kook, that's fine.
Oh,
I don't care what this world thinks of me.
You know, if I was being labeled a kook or being demeaned for promoting my own agenda, then, you know, that would be something I'd be concerned about. But being labeled a kook for promoting Yahowah's testimony, that's a badge of honor.
That's right. There was a lady who drove down from Savannah, Georgia, to meet with us. This was 4 hours down, 4 hours back up for her, and she made it out, you know, and that's what the love for Yah does.
Absolutely. You know, one of the things, too, about the Yahowah is that he provided a book of answers. And so you went to a Christian pastor, asked him questions, he didn't know the answer. If you ask Yahowah a question, every answer that's important for you to know is provided in his Torah. All you got to do is read it.
That's right.
Yeah, come to understand what he has to say, and every relevant question about life and death, about heaven and hell, about salvation and damnation, about how we come to participate in the covenant and what causes us to be excluded from the covenant. It's all there. One of the things, William, though, that you found out is that none of it's very complicated. It's all pretty simple, isn't it? William is hearing the music. We'll rephrase that question and have William extrapolate on how simple it all really is when we return. Welcome back to Shattering Myths. We're having a conversation with William, who is my brother in the covenant. William has a wonderful family, and after searching diligently, I mean, you didn't make, this was not a casual pastime for you. You diligently searched to know God, whom you found his name is Yahowah, and to determine whether or not he communicated how we were to participate in a relationship with him, and indeed how he would save us. And the point I was driving at, William, is with all of the very thoughtful questions and complex issues that you raised, when ultimately you came to understand Yahowah as he really is and what he was offering, was it complicated or extraordinarily simple?
Actually, extraordinarily simple. It was really simple.
How did what God was offering, William, differ from what you are trying to do as a father with your children and as a husband with your wife?
He doesn't differ at all.
It's exactly the same, isn't it?
Yes.
And so,
exactly.
And so at the end of your search, what you found is God as Father and you as his child.
Correct.
And that God is offering every possible way to enrich and empower your life with him.
Correct. To simplify it, it was just
yes.
Everything that I feel for my family, for my wife, for my children, when it hit me, when the light turned on, it was like, wow, he's just like me. You know, that
yes.
He wants the same things for me that I want for my family.
Right.
And
matter of fact, William, isn't he also, didn't you find him searching to know you, wanting to know you just as you wanted to know him?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And when you asked questions of him, did he push you away or provide answers?
He provided answers. And the more I dug and he just gave me more and more and more. I mean, and every day I'm learning.
Yeah.
Every day.
So it's really at the end of the journey, and you finally found God. He's exactly as you'd most love him to be, as a father wanting to go share and explore his universe with you and with your family, and with your extended family now.
Right, right. And I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to eternity. with this family, with the Covenant family. It's going to be amazing.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine sitting around a great bonfire and eating great food and singing great songs and telling great stories as we're exploring some planet in some faraway galaxy with the Yahowah right there, the creator of the universe there, to explain it all to us? Brings tears to your eyes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It really does. Tears of joy. I mean, it's hard to even imagine how good can become.
That's right. That's right. I can't wait to, you know, when we're before him and, you know, we meet him for the first time in person and
yes.
he'll rub his hands through my head or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
How you doing, son? You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, how you doing, son? Yeah, welcome home. Yeah, welcome home. Man, it's just great to have you here.
You're a funny guy. Let's see some of those jokes here, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It is, and it's exactly as he is. Warm and approachable, humble, fun-loving, entertaining. It's just going to be the ultimate celebration of life. That's why he calls these 7 steps, these invitations, this way to him. Chog, celebrations, parties. And, of course, you immediately, once you had the answers, you recognize that all he really cares about in his Torah guidance is to present the opportunity to form a covenant relationship with him, which is a family-oriented relationship, and that the 7 steps towards that are delineated in these 7 Moed Mikra.
That's right.
And what's the 7th one?
Shelters.
Yeah, shelters, sukkah, being which is described as camping out with God. That means you're in his home and you're camping out with him in his presence. That's all he really wants.
For those listening, Psalm 19:7, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yahweh's Torah is complete and entirely perfect, returning and restoring the soul. Yahweh's testimony is trustworthy and reliable, making understanding and obtaining wisdom simple for the open-minded and receptive.
Perfect, William. What a way to end this program on Matzah. May Yah bless.